4 stages, the final pillar. This course is for people who are done with being slaves to their addictions and not having any control over their life. They want to take back control, improve themselves, and completely change their life. They also want to live a happy, fulfilling, and purposeful life. If this is you, then you're at the perfect place. And by the way, this lesson is going to be very, very important for quitting habits. So make sure to listen up and take notes. And when I tell you to take action, promise me you will. Or you won't quit, really. You'll be wasting your time and money. Anyway, every habit is formed of 4 steps. Without them, there wouldn't be a habit in the first place. You'll understand why later. But for now, remember this. Cue, desire, response, and reward. In that order. And if any of these are broken or you skip them, then the habit won't form. Because this is basically the order in which the habits are formed. So this is the order in which the habits are formed. So if one of these stages don't happen or don't occur, then the habit won't form. How it works. Listen, if you want to actually quit and succeed, take notes and take action like I said. I'm serious, if you don't, then you're just wasting your time and money. The cue. The cue is basically the signal, stimulus, or trigger. It's what starts an action in the first place. Maybe you saw a hot girl on Instagram, you heard someone talk about your favorite game, or you were bored, so these were your triggers and they eventually led to you actually doing the habit. It could be anything really. Even me listing some of these could trigger you. For example, you're sitting at home and you see your favorite ice cream. Then you get an urge to eat it and you end up eating it. And you temporarily feel good. The cue here was that you saw it. That's what triggered you to eat it. But it doesn't have to be something that you see. You can get triggered by any of your senses. Hearing, feeling, smelling. You could even trigger yourself just by thinking of something. So triggers aren't completely avoidable because you could just get random thoughts about the habit, right? But it's a good first step to breaking the process. The desire. The desire is the second step. It gives you the urge to actually go and do the habit. If there were no desire, there would be no action taken. I mean, think about it. After you get triggered, you get the urge to do it. If you didn't have an urge, you wouldn't do it in the first place. The cue and desire process is directly related to the dopamine course I made. So definitely go check that out if you haven't already. But basically, you see something you like, which makes you a little happier now, because your dopamine spikes, it increases. Then it decreases, resulting in you feeling unhappy, or like something is missing. And this motivates you to take action and do the habit. This up and down change in state gives you the urge to eat the dessert, play that game, get on Instagram. So if you didn't already, now you want to do it. It applies to any habit. The response. This is what you do after you get the urge. There isn't much to it, it's simple really. Either you do it or not. If you do, then you move on to the last stage, which decides whether a habit is formed or not. The reward. The reward is what completes the process. If you didn't feel good, get pleasure, or rewarded in some way after doing the habit, then you wouldn't do it. Think about it. Why would you do something that doesn't have a positive impact on your life, even if cheap and temporary? Games, social media, fapping, sugar, any habit or addiction you can list off, all give you something you want, whether that's escape, love, pleasure, or friendship. We derive these and a bunch of other things. We derive things that we want and need in our life from external factors. And if we can't get it from our life, we resort to getting addicted to something that makes us feel it, even if it's cheap and temporary. Because the real life version of whatever you're searching for in that addiction is 1,000 times better, 1,000,000 times better than what you're getting right now. Keep in mind though, that these addictions give you a weak, fake substitute for what you actually desire. Now, how does this work as a whole? The cue, desire, response, and reward, if you remember. First, you get triggered. then you get an urge to go do it. But you have the choice to do it or not. If you don't, then the habit doesn't form. But if you do, then you feel better and temporarily feel better. And if the addiction already exists, well, every time you do it, you reinforce the habit. And it becomes harder to not do each time. If you're not careful, you'll be doing it without realizing it. So it's, again, the cue, desire, response, reward. And every time you get a cue, it repeats itself again and again and again. Because after all, that's the purpose of the habit. To make an action simple, easy, and efficient. So every time you do it, the better your brain gets at making you do it with as little effort and friction as possible. So every time you do it, as we said, you reinforce it and becomes easier to do. And not only does it become easier to do, but your brain, in a weird way, makes you want to do it even more. Because if you watch the dopamine video, you'd understand this perfectly. But I'll give you a little explanation about it. So every time you do it, you enjoy it less and less if you do it a lot. If you do it like once a month, then you still enjoy it. But if you do it every single day, multiple times a day, I'm sure you've realized that you get bored and you stop wanting to do it, but you can't not do it. And when you do it, you don't feel as good as the first time. So then you do it again. Maybe one day you do it twice. Maybe you do it 3 times. Maybe you do it 4 times or more on that day. Since you're not getting the pleasure, you increase the quantity to equate to that pleasure that you got the first time. So you're substituting small amount of pleasure for a big quantity, a big amount of that habit. We want to change this as quickly as possible. So how to end an addiction? As we said, if any of these steps are broken, a habit won't form. So we want to destroy the process completely. And to ensure success, we'll break all the steps. The cue, desire, response, and reward. Done. For the cue, we want to remove as many triggers as possible. This differs depending on your habit, of course. So do some thinking and take action. For example, if it's sugar, then hide it. Or better yet, don't even buy it from the store in the first place. This will make it less likely for you to even think of doing the habit in the first place. If you don't have access to it, you wouldn't do it. Or it would be harder to do. The desire, make it ugly. Prove to yourself and make it obvious how bad it is, how much you hate it, and everything you don't like about it, and how it has a negative effect. Don't hold back and use your emotions. So this is an example. If you've seen the last course, then you don't really need to do this, but I'll explain it anyway. So this is like notes that you write down. Social media is a waste of time. It makes me so depressed. I start comparing and getting jealous. It makes me fat. It's disgusting. I hate it and its effects. Something like this. And you realize that I talked with a lot of emotion, and you need to do the same, especially when writing. Get detailed and seriously think about it. You start thinking, why should I even do it at this point? Because you've convinced yourself to not do it. Go make one right now. I'm serious. Take action. This is your actionable step. Remember, you promised me at the start that you'll take action. Don't let your money and time go to waste. Take action. Bro, pause the course and go do it. I don't care what excuse you have. Go do it right now. If you did it, good job. You will quit. If you didn't, then this is your last chance. Or you'll be a loser and you'll never quit. Go. The response. I hope you did that. I hope you took action. The response. Make it as hard as possible to do. Pause. As much friction as you can. You could unplug the console, wrap it up, put it in a box, and move it to a closet with a locked door where the keys are far away from it. You see how many steps you're putting in to just make it harder for yourself to do it. That's what you need to do. If you're serious, that's what you're gonna do. The more effort you put in, the less likely you are to do it. So don't be scared and overdo it if you're serious and want to waste as little time as possible with mistakes and setbacks. Now, it will take a lot of effort to do the addiction, more than the reward. So you'd stop doing it because it's not worth it. Now you might be thinking that This will only work long term if you keep following these steps. Because if you remove the trigger, if you remove the trigger and that's what makes you stop doing it, then what happens a few years down the line when you see the trigger? You probably think you need discipline or willpower. And I'm here to tell you that's not true. Fortunately, it's not true. Once you get used to not doing it, that will stay with you for your whole life. Even if the cues are all around you and it's very, very easy to do and very rewarding, you won't do it. The reward, make it painful. The opposite of reward, make it the exact opposite. Anything but good, because if you enjoy it or gain something from it, then you'll do it again. That's just the nature of humans, and we've already said this. Your brain doesn't understand that it's harmful because you're getting something you want. So we want to prove it to our brain. You could study for 2 hours, do extra cardio, slap yourself, take a cold shower. But the idea is to punish yourself. Find something you don't like and punish yourself as quickly as possible right after doing the habit. So your brain correlates that habit to this result. And if the result isn't good, then it won't do the habit, simply. This will tell your brain that it doesn't feel good, so it will stop telling you to do it. Remember the example I gave at the start? You're sitting at home and you see your favorite ice cream. Then you get an urge to eat it, and you do. And you temporarily feel good. I want you to pick out each step that makes a habit in that situation. The cue, desire, response, and reward in this case. I'm not going to give you the answer. You have to actually think. Seriously, do it. If you did it, I'm proud of you and you will quit for good. If you didn't, this is your last chance, or you'll stay a slave to your addictions. And the reason I'm telling you to do this exercise is because you'll understand how to think and how to avoid doing these habits and apply it to any other habit. Even if ice cream or junk food isn't your habit or addiction, it's going to make you understand how to think correctly and apply what you've learned right now. And this is very important, or you'll forget about it and you won't be able to apply it to other things. If you apply all of these, quitting will be a breeze and almost certain. So the summary: make it hidden, ugly, hard to do, and painful. And if you realize each one of these are the exact opposite of the steps earlier, the cue, the trigger, make it hidden. The desire, make it ugly. The response, make it hard to do. And the reward, painful. Now you know everything, but that doesn't mean that doesn't matter if you don't apply it or take action. So before moving on to the next course or video or whatever you're gonna do next in your life, take action. If you feel like there is a part you didn't understand or want more explanation on, then feel free to rewatch the video, go back to that part, or message me. But don't just move on. This is very important. Don't just skip it. You need to make sure you understand everything. Make sure you fully get everything and apply. Be patient, one step at a time. Apply what you learned, then move on and learn new things. Don't get stuck in this trap of constantly learning new information and not doing anything. Paralysis by analysis. Take action. That's the most important thing. That's 85% of quitting a habit. It's just taking action. And build on it. Otherwise, you'll be wasting your time and money. With that being said, I'll see you in the next course.